As Bitcoin plays out its current pre-halving correction, the real question is, where is the buy zone? Or at least where would I be buying if I was looking for long-term buys and I was of that mindset? Now, I'm not myself, but if you are that type of person, then perhaps this is of relevance to you, as I do believe that there is something incredibly important coming up in the next less than a month, actually, I do think, or at least maybe like 1 month from now. So let's jump into it right now. Starting off with the topic of the day, if I can get my words out properly, and that is the Bitcoin production cost chart. Now, we've gone over this chart a couple times in the past now, but I want to really start to harp in on this because I do believe that we are starting to see, or potentially see the last of the last major dumps before the funnest of times, if you will. Although times right now are pretty damn fun. I mean, they have been for the past year as well. So fair enough. Maybe we're just getting too damn greedy. But in this case, we're looking at a chart of the production cost of what it takes to, produce Bitcoin, as the name would imply. And what is relevant about this chart is that over the full history of Bitcoin, it has been a damn good indication of sort of like the basement prices for Bitcoin. Now, this indicator, this study is done by Charles Caparelli. He's really, really good. One of the only fundamental guys that I think is worth paying any attention to at all. He has a Twitter as well, so I think that is certainly worth going to. Shout out to him, although I've never really spoken with him. But in this case, you can see throughout the full history of Bitcoin, even during some of the most nasty, intensive dump-offs, we've never really seen the bottom band of this ever violated. And, fundamentally speaking, that kind of does make sense. If Bitcoin does go below the cost to produce, then realistically, what's the point? Or at least it's not necessarily what's the point, but of course, you're going to be heavily incentivized to buy. It's going to be a nice arbitrage there between the cost to produce and, what it's actually theoretically worth. As that makes most sense to me. I mean, Bitcoin is energy, to quote Michael Saylor, right? Anyways, to give you a few examples of this, even the most crazy of times, not last year, but a couple years ago, in November of 2022, even when we were experiencing the final dump off from the FTX saga, it tested the bottom side of this band, and surely there was a few stabs below, but really no consistent closures below on any time frame that did matter. Again, same thing on the Rona dump over here in 2020 March. Again, just basically tested the bottom of it, and that was a perfect area before Bitcoin launched upwards and onwards from there for the next few years, really. Again, in 2018 lows, did test the bottom side of it, completely fine, but again, that was a phenomenal long-term accumulation range. And then we do have a few other examples, but the big thing that's coming up about this that I do think is most relevant to people in this next month is that the halving is going to happen. And what does the halving do? Well, it essentially doubles the cost of production for what it would take to produce one Bitcoin, as the name would imply. And the current bottom side of this channel is $30,000. So if we double that, we're going to be somewhere around $60,000. Now, it will ebb and flow a little bit around there, but let's just say $60,000 on like a weekly time frame. Generally, we would expect Bitcoin not to really be violating that on any sort of higher term time frame closing basis, or at least if it does come down below that, it would likely be a long-term good area to maybe be interested in. Again, it's not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but going through this, we can go to the last halving over here, and you can see that step up from the halving itself. That was in May of 2020, and it literally doubled overnight. Bitcoin actually came down to test the bottom side of it very soon after that. It wasn't exactly to the day, but about a week or two later, did come down and test it. And again, that was phenomenal area. Very phenomenal area, I'd say. Then we do have the halving before that, which was back on over here in July of 2016. And again, same thing, doubles overnight, comes back down a little bit. That's okay. This one even did close a little bit below it a couple times there, but no real consistent closures below. And again, overall, this was just a phenomenal region, in hindsight. And then, of course, the time before that, it, really didn't even get anywhere close to it. But overall, as the halving does kind of come more into the rear view, no, not the rear view, but the front view, the windshield, Where is it coming into? I don't fucking know. It's coming up is what I'm trying to say. It's coming up. It's actually going to happen. Perhaps we do see this as kind of the beginning of the final dump. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I actually really don't have super strong opinions on that. My strong opinion is that if Bitcoin does trade back down, basically close to $60,000, it's probably going to be a major opportunity if you are more of a long-term minded person, just based off this data over here. But of course, that is a decision for you to be making. Now, until that does happen, I do still express that, Bitcoin probably more likely to be corrective from here. We do see that bearish divergence on daily RSI on CME playing out here. And obviously the first and easy target has already been hit on that one at the cyan moving average, which is that 68,800 tick. The next targeted region would be somewhere around the 21, which is going to be rising up probably around $64,000 early next week. Now, here's the thing. I do believe that all this does set up, like I said, a major opportunity, because as of right now, we're already seeing lower lows on the daily RSI compared to even the February lows. The February lows where Bitcoin was trading at $50,000 basically. So it's a lot of fucking divergence building up. But again, just adding on to the case that, it's hard to be bullish on Bitcoin looking for, new highs immediately before at least a sideways movement here would be the daily stochastic oscillator, which is positioned to the downside as long as Bitcoin is below 73,100 right now. And it is going to be coming into collision with the top side of the critical region. So, once we do start to see, consistent closures below there, that's a really good signal of, of likely a greater correction incoming, and somewhere back down to $60,000, kind of makes a lot of sense. So as long as that condition is met, again, below the momentum pivot, I'm generally looking for sideways and down, maybe sideways at best. It could obviously be that Bitcoin goes something like this and just kind of bases out here and maybe retests the low a few more times, completely fine. But overall, my main message is that with this chart in mind over here, it's like, how cute do you want to get with this area? Of course. Anyways, now that we've gone through that, I left off on my damn notes over here. There we go. Okay, found it. Now we can get to the HPDR bands, and with the HPDR bands kind of telling us same thing as what we saw yesterday and the day before. Bitcoin actually wicking off of the top side, the bottom side of the 50% of historic returns range lows here, and finding a closure back above the median. So we did get the short-term bounce that we were looking for yesterday. In fact, I'll go over a little bit more on that on the next chart. But as of right now, I do think that best case scenario for Bitcoin in the short term is that you see something like this, where it kind of fills out this blue region right here. If you see that, okay, then yeah, we've already seen the low on this. Maybe Bitcoin trades sideways for a little bit of time, and then we see another move to the upside. It's not until Bitcoin either reclaims the stochastic momentum pivot right here, or if Bitcoin starts to close back above basically, what would this be? Friday's high, which is 72,400, which is actually the top side of the 38.2 level as well, where I'd say, hey, correction over. It's time to be looking up and to the right yet again. And you're probably looking, just fucking go to 80,000 or 100,000, whatever the fuck it's going to do. just let it be. But as you can see right here, could take some time. And of course, we do see another dump off. Low 60s is kind of an area of interest. Where's the 21 right here? The next major area of interest would actually be 63.5 to 64. And then below there, basically like 60,000, even maybe like a stab below 60,000. Again, based off of this chart, it's going to be like just above $60,000 is going to be the next major channel low. So yeah, in the short term, another signal did fire off on this same setup over here. This one's actually been very, very active the past few weeks. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 trades in the past month on this one. And this is a 4-hour time frame chart, which, it's over the full history, or actually, no, this is not the full history of Bitcoin. Let's go over the full history of Bitcoin. I think over the full history of Bitcoin, it only has like 500 trades or so. So, it's not like super, super active, although it has been recently. It's fired off yet another signal, as you can see right here at 67,700. Now remember, this one did have on average a 5% gain on the winning trades, and we did see 632 trades if I look at all of them. A little over 5% gainer on average, which from that entry to 5% above would put Bitcoin at about 71,100 or so. We did see a bounce attempt yesterday, which just got above 70. Got really close to $71,000. So, maybe you kind of already saw that. This would be a good example of understanding statistics and sort of their relationship to these setups. And that's where you can put your own sort of spin on these sort of things. So, technically speaking, it's still active. It would theoretically be a loser if we do see Bitcoin trade below 64,300, which is basically the next sort of area of interest to the downside, or maybe a little bit below there. But what is also interesting to me about this one is that while it does have just under a 53% hit rate, which is it's not much better than a coin flip. The last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 trades have been winners. The last loss that we saw was back on over here in February 16. It's a very small loss too, I should say. Barely even a loss, actually. So 52,226 entry. Exit was 52,124. And then before that, another couple wins, a couple losses over here. Okay, yeah, starting to play more in line with those statistics. I know it's a fallacy to be like, okay, if you have a 50% strike rate, then, usually you'd want to see 1 win, 1 loss. Of course, it's not going to actually work out like that. It's averages over time, no shit. But 4 wins in a row, I don't know, man. I don't know. I do start to look at this one as maybe less and less likely to play out, or at least if you were going to see this one play out, you probably saw that move yesterday, or at least that would have been the move. If I was playing this, I would be like, hey, take the fucking money and run. Take the money and run. Just enjoy it. Just fucking enjoy it. But fair enough. Should let you know again that you can get this strategy tester, which you can basically test any strategy that you want, all as well as these strategies that I give out myself, and in the automated trade execution features with the Krown Quant automation service. Been chilling it pretty damn hard the last week or two because it is on sale with the code HAPPY6YEAR in all capitals for 35% off, which is the biggest sale that we'll ever have to really incentivize people to just kind of jump on over into the new platform. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. Also, I should let you know, because there was a lot of demand for it, there is a one-time payment for this as well, rather than like a monthly subscription. Because I get it. For myself, like if I really want to use something long term, I'm just gonna fucking buy the one-time payment as well. I get it, man. I get it. So we do offer that out as well. And yeah, everything else is on sale too. Watch the promotional videos to make sure that you know who they're for and who they're not for, so that you can make an educated decision for yourself if that is even relevant to you or not. Because at the end of the day, probably not everyone should be a trader. In fact, most people probably shouldn't. Probably most people shouldn't, which is all good. Anyways, yeah, we'll end things right there. Again, big focus on the chart over here. Is this the beginning of the current correction that brings things back down to there? Perhaps yes, but unlike, I think, some of the other content creators that I've seen on the interwebs, I do not think that this is like a macro reversal or anything like that. The real question is, where does the next higher low come in around? I'm not really concerned about Bitcoin specifically long term, as long as it's especially above, let's call it like, I would even say like 54, 55,000 bucks on a higher term time frame closing basis. So yeah. All right. That's enough for today. I've turned off the autofocus on my camera, also by popular demand. Some people are really mad about that, but you know what? I just didn't know how to use it. Okay. I did Google it. It's difficult, at least for me. So we'll end things right there. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow. Where's the fucking off button?